Deep in the heart of the vast Pacific Ocean, where the sun's rays fade into an inky blackness and silence becomes a language all its own, lived a young dolphin named Lumi. Lumi was curious, perhaps a little too curious, according to the elder dolphins. While the rest of the pod stayed close, enjoying the safety of the group, Lumi's fins always seemed to pull him toward the unknown, toward the next great mystery hidden in the blue expanse. One morning, the water felt different. The currents weren't playful anymore. They whispered warnings. The smaller fish, usually a vibrant, swirling cloud of color, darted nervously, their movements sharp and fearful. A strange stillness had fallen over the reef. Lumi sensed it deep in his bones. Something unusual, something big, was happening. "I have to find out what this is," he said to himself, his voice a small series of clicks in the quiet water. And with that one decision, his greatest adventure began. Lumi dove deeper and deeper, far beyond the familiar coral gardens and into the realm of twilight. The water grew colder, the pressure building around him. The world he knew vanished, replaced by an endless, dark void. Just as a flicker of doubt entered his mind, he saw it a faint glow ahead. It was soft blue and pulsed with a slow, rhythmic beat, almost like a sleeping heart. What could that be, Lumi wondered, his curiosity overpowering his fear. As he swam closer, a colossal shadow shifted in front of the light, blocking it completely. A voice, low and gentle, yet powerful enough to vibrate through the water, echoed around him. "Do not be afraid, little one." From the darkness, a truly immense figure emerged. It was a massive whale, her skin covered in the scars of centuries, her eyes holding the wisdom of the ancient ocean. This was Nalara, the legendary guardian of the deep. "What brings a young dolphin into these profound waters?" she asked, her tone calm and steady. Lumi, momentarily speechless, quickly explained the strange feeling that had gripped the ocean: the disturbed currents, the silent fish, the palpable sense of dread. Nalara listened patiently, then nodded her ancient head slowly. "Your instincts are true. There is a disturbance in the abyss. Something that has slept for eons is starting to awaken." Lumi felt a shiver run through him, a cold that had nothing to do with the deep water. "What is awakening?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "The shadow eel," Nalara replied, her voice dropping to a low rumble, "a creature as old as the ocean itself. If it fully awakens and rises, the entire sea will tremble in its wake." Nalara's message was clear. Lumi couldn't face this alone. She told him he must gather help, for only a united ocean, a fellowship of its most courageous inhabitants, could stand against the coming darkness. Fired with a new sense of purpose, Lumi raced back toward the sunlit waters. He sought out the bravest creatures he knew, a team as diverse as the ocean itself. First, he found Tycho, a tiny but brilliant octopus. Tycho wasn't big, but his 8 clever arms and razor-sharp mind could solve any puzzle. Next, Lumi recruited Sarah, a swordfish whose speed and fearlessness were legendary. She could cut through the water faster than a blink, her bill a silver spear of defiance. Finally, he approached Bram, a gentle giant of a sea turtle. Bram had journeyed across all the oceans, and the map of the world, with all its secret currents and hidden passages, was etched into the patterns of his ancient shell. Lumi gathered them together. "I don't know exactly what we're facing," he admitted, his voice resonating with urgency. "But Nalara says the ocean needs us, all of us." There was no hesitation. Together, they turned and followed Nalara's deep, resonating call, a signal guiding them down into the abyss. The deeper they swam, the more alien the world became. The last traces of sunlight vanished, and they entered a realm of pure darkness, punctuated by bizarre, living lights. Strange creatures with bioluminescent bodies drifted around them like ghosts. Jellyfish sparkled like fallen stars, fish with glowing lures hanging from their heads danced in the blackness, and enormous, fleeting shadows disappeared as quickly as they appeared. It was a world of eerie beauty and immense danger. Bram, who had seen much in his long life, whispered, "We must stay close." The abyss has no mercy for those who get lost. Suddenly, the seafloor itself trembled beneath them. A low, grinding sound echoed from the depths, and the water began to churn. The currents, once a steady flow, turned violent, spiraling around them in a chaotic vortex. Lumi struggled to swim straight, his powerful tail fighting against the maelstrom. And then, from a massive cave carved into a dark cliffside, two enormous yellow eyes blinked open, cutting through the darkness like malevolent moons. The Shadow Ill was waking up. The creature emerged from its lair, and it was more terrifying than any story could describe. It was longer than a sunken ship, its body covered in black scales that seemed to absorb all light, creating a void in the water around it. The Shadow Ill let out a horrifying hiss, and the very ocean shook. Tycho, usually so composed, squeaked in terror, his tentacles curling tightly. "We're too small. We can't fight that thing." But in that moment of despair, Lumi remembered Nullar's words. Only unity can protect the ocean. His fear was replaced by a surge of resolve. "Everyone, follow my lead," he shouted over the roar of the water. The unlikely team sprang into action. Sarah, a silver blur, sped around the eel's enormous head, distracting it with lightning-fast strikes from her sharp bill. The monster roared in frustration, trying to snap at the darting swordfish. Bram, using his immense and sturdy shell, positioned himself to block the eel's powerful tail, preventing it from smashing Lumi and the others against the rocks. Meanwhile, Tycho, overcoming his fear, swam beneath the colossal beast, his sharp eyes scanning for any vulnerability. "We have to guide it back into the cave," Lumi commanded, trying to coordinate their chaotic dance, but the eel was too powerful. Just before the eel's jaws could close, a powerful, commanding voice echoed through the abyss, a sound that dwarfed the eel's own roar. "Enough!" Nullura, the guardian, burst from the darkness like a moving mountain. She slammed her giant tail into the ocean floor, sending a seismic shockwave that shook the entire abyss. The Shadow Ill recoiled, momentarily stunned by this display of immense power. "You will not harm the creatures of this ocean," Nullura roared, her voice the sound of shifting continents. The eel, enraged, fought back fiercely, but now the tide had turned. With Nullura joining the fray, the small team overwhelmed the ancient monster. Lumi and Cyril worked together, hurting its massive head. Bram continued to block its path, creating a living wall. Tycho, in a stroke of genius, found a weak spot, a small gap under the eel's scales near its gills. He shot a jet of bioluminescent ink that flared in a blinding wave of light, stunning the monster. With one final, coordinated push, Nullura used her immense strength to force the struggling Shadow Ill back into its dark cave. Without a moment's hesitation, Lumi and Tycho worked together, dislodging massive rocks and sealing the entrance. And then silence, a profound, peaceful silence returned to the deep. As they swam back toward the distant promise of sunlight, Lumi felt different. He felt stronger, braver, and a part of something much larger than himself. Nullura swam beside him, her presence a comforting warmth. "You have done what even older, stronger dolphins feared to attempt," she said, her ancient eyes filled with pride. "Courage is not about size or age. It is about the will to protect others, no matter the cost." Lumi smiled, a real, proud smile. When he finally reunited with his pod, the news of his bravery had already traveled through the currents. The other dolphins didn't see him as just a curious youngster anymore. They cheered, surrounding him with clicks and whistles of celebration. Lumi wasn't just the curious one, now he was a hero of the ocean. That night, the sea was perfectly calm. The stars above reflected on the smooth surface of the water like scattered diamonds. And somewhere deep, deep below, the Shadow Ill slept once more, its power contained, all thanks to the courage of a young dolphin and the friends who stood with him. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow for more adventures.